Right then guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a Premier League predictions video. And I saw the last one, the League One predictions one, got a lot of views over a case, so thank you guys for that. And now let's get on to the predictions. So starting off in 20th, I've gone with Norwich because they haven't really brought anyone in. To be honest, I think the only player they've spent money on is Sam Byram, came from West Ham. Not really a big signing, under £1 million, because Pukki, the top scorer, scored a lot of goals. Not gonna lie, but don't think they're gonna do too well in the Premier League next year. So I'm gonna put them rock bottom. Moving on to the next team. Next up in 19th, I put Brighton. It might surprise a few of you, but I've done it because considering when they had Chris Hughton last year, they only just survived and then they sacked him. I don't understand why the owner sacked him, but then they bring in Graham Potter. I'm pretty sure was the Swansea manager, and he finished like mid-table. I don't see how that's going to help compared to Chris Hughton surviving and keeping them up, and that was what the task was. Signing, I'm pretty sure they bring in is Matt Clark from Portsmouth on a 4-year deal, but he's coming from a League One club, so he's going to be pretty inexperienced in the Premier League. And that's why I put them 19th. Next in 18th, I put Crystal Palace, which might surprise a few of you again because considering where they finished last season, I think it was like 15th or 14th, one of the two. They had Wan-Bissaka, and Zaha, in my opinion, is one of their key players, and if he wants out, get him out. Like, why would you want a player who doesn't want to play for you, play for your team? So yeah, I don't think anything good is going to happen at Crystal Palace, so I'm going to put them 18th. Next up, just surviving relegation is going to be Sheffield United for me, because last season I'm pretty sure they came second in the Championship. They had a pretty solid season last year, and I think they're going to do quite well. They have a solid defence, they bring in quite a few players. Val Morris, I'm not too sure on how he's going to do, but he was on trial. Phil Jagielka, someone coming home. And yeah, basically, Mousset from Bournemouth. And then Lycett, who scored 1 goal for Bournemouth last year, just a bit dodgy, some teams bring in nowadays. But I think they're just going to survive, and also bringing Dean Henderson back on loan from Man United. So yeah, I put them 17th, just surviving. Following next in 16th, I've got Burnley, and they're quite unpredictable because they finished 7th a few seasons ago and just missing out qualifying for the Europa League in the qualification matches. And then last season they were struggling nearly in relegation, so no clue really what to do with Burnley. Nick Pope and Joe Hart, and they got Ben Mee, solid centre back, but the signings they bring in are a bit interesting. Jay Rodriguez from West Brom, don't really know why they signed him, and then Eric Peters from Stoke. But yeah, I put them 16th just about because their squad at the minute's okay to stay up, and then the players they're bringing in, I don't really know if they're going to bring it down or not. But yeah, they're 16th. Next up in 15th, I've put Watford. They've got quite a good squad. They finished 11th last year, but I don't really know about the signs they bring in, as there are quite a few teams like Craig Dawson, quite an old person, ex-Tottenham and West Brom player who signed from $5 million, which is quite a lot for Craig Dawson, isn't that good? And someone from Fluminense from Brazil for $2 million. I don't know who that is. And Javier Garcia, the manager, got them to the FA Cup final last year. They got hammered, but he still got them there. And then they got quite a strong squad of Deeney still hanging on, Pereira, I think, who's off somewhere, and then Deulofeu, who's a great player. But yeah, and that's why I put them 15th. Well then, next up in 14th, I've put Aston Villa, who I've made some brilliant signings, like Wesley, who's replacing Tammy Abraham, who's gone back to Chelsea from his loan spell at Villa. And I'll put them up there now because there's so many, I can't even say them all. They've got El Ghazi, who's coming back, who was there last season on loan, who they signed from Lille, I'm pretty sure, in France. And yeah, they kept Jack Grealish from last season, which I think has surprised quite a few people. And I think they're doing quite well in the Prem, finishing near mid-table, 14th, a pretty solid finish for a team who's just been promoted. So yeah, that's where I put Villa. It's the next team, Southampton. I have no clue why I've put them quite high up on the table in 13th because their signs have been pretty awful. Not gonna lie, they brought in Danny Ings for 20 million. I don't know if he did too well last season, but I'm pretty sure he's got around not even as much as 10 goals. And 20 million he's worth apparently. Money's getting ridiculous nowadays in football. And then they bring in Che Adams from Birmingham. Not surprised to leave them because they're like mid-table Championship and he's going up to the Premier League. The manager is trying to get rid of Charlie Austin, I'm pretty sure. Obviously because you've got Che Adams coming in and Danny Ings coming back. So yeah, that's why I've put Southampton 13th. Next in 12th, this might surprise a few people why they're in 12th and they're not further back in the table. But I've put Bournemouth. I think they're quite a solid season last season, and they bring in some fullbacks to strengthen that because they got rid of Tyrone Mings, who's gone to Villa, And yeah, they've brought in Jack Stacey and Lloyd Kelly coming from Bristol City for a massive total of 13 million for a championship player, which is quite a lot. And they've got rid of Musette, players like that. But yeah, they've got a pretty solid squad, and they've got Callum Wilson staying, I'm pretty sure, so that's good for them. They've got a solid squad, so yeah, nothing wrong with them, and that's why I put them 12. Well then, this one's going to surprise a lot of people. I've put Newcastle 11th, which is quite high up in the table considering they've gone from Rafa to Steve Bruce. I think last season he was with Villa, and then he got sacked from Villa, and then he went to Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship, and they finished mid-table last season. But yeah, you bring in Joelinton, good signing, 40 million, quite a lot of money for Joelinton, but Hoffenheim wouldn't want any less than that. And he's trying to bring in St Maximin from Nice, so 20 million, which I think is a good price. I don't think they've lost anyone yet, like player-wise. So yeah, but a few players returning like Jack Colback, and that's why I put them 11th. But next up, I've got West Ham in 10th, and I've only put them 10th because they brought in two inexperienced players who haven't played in the Premier League before, Pablo Fornals and Sebastian Haller. Haller from Frankfurt and Fornals from Villarreal. And Fornals looks pretty decent from clips I've seen in the Spanish league. And then Haller looks really good, coming into the Prem for around nearly 40 million. Seeing that Arnautovic has left to go to China money. So yeah, good business by them. I think they've now got 4 keepers, so they're pretty stacked up on them, and they're going to have a lot of competition for first place next season. So yeah, good business by them so far in Pellegrini. Moving on to who's in 9th. Next, in 9th, I've got Wolves. They haven't done much business this year, considering they've only re-signed Jimenez and Dendoncker, who were on loan last season from their clubs. But just an hour ago, when I'm recording this, they signed Vallejo from Real Madrid on a season-long loan, which is a pretty good signing. It was going to get him some experience in the Premier League. So yeah, now that's why I've put Wolves 9th. A bit like Wolves, I've got Everton in 8th, and they've just re-signed a few players like Gomez, who was at Barcelona, and then they re-signed him on. He was playing on loan last season, and then they re-signed him for 22 million. And then next, they've got Fabian Delph, came from Man City for I think it's a good price of 9 million. And they haven't really brought anyone else in. They've just got players coming back like Balassi on loan, Moranas, a few of them kind of players. I'll put them 8th because they've got a few players already, like Richarlison, who's pretty solid. So yeah, that's why I put them in 8th. Well then, Brendan Rodgers, Leicester City. They've brought in some players, 3 players for a total of 76 million, which I don't think are all worth that, what they paid for. They got Tielemans, 40 million, and then Perez from Newcastle for 30 million. They've done some great business on him. When they bought him, he was only $1 million. And then they also brought in, I think it's like James Justin on a 5-year deal from Luton for like 3 million. He's worth it because he looks pretty promising. He played quite well for Luton when they got promoted to the Championship last season. So yeah, I think they're going to finish 7th and have a good season. In 6th, I've got Manchester United, who I think they finished 6th last season. In their eyes, quite a poor season by their fans. They bring in Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James. He's playing for Swansea last season. He's really quick. And then they've let go some players like Ander Herrera and Valencia. I see why they got rid of Valencia, because he was getting on a bit. But Ander Herrera, I think they shouldn't have let him go on a free transfer as well to PSG. Lukaku might be going into Milan, but they keep on rejecting offers for him. That's about it. Now moving on to 5th. Lampard's coming back to Stamford Bridge from Derby County. And they've got rid of a few players, like Ampadu going on loan to Leipzig, but they can't sell anyone, which is quite funny because they're transfer ban. So, but they've got Mason Mount coming in, who was with Frank Lampard last season at Derby, which is quite good. So that'll be alright. Kovacic, I think you say it, coming from Real Madrid, who was on loan last season at Chelsea, and I guess Lampard's decided to keep him there, or re-sign him anyway. And they got a few other players, but losing Hazard's going to be quite a big blow because he was their star man for around 8 seasons, and they sort of always relied on him because they never had a good striker really. But yeah, and they finished 3rd last year, and that's why I think they're going to finish 2 places behind because they've lost Hazard. This one's kind of funny. I've sort of put Arsenal in their place, finishing 4th where they're known to finish. They brought in Danny Ceballos on loan from Real Madrid, and they also brought in, I forgot his name, but it'll be on the screen, for like 20-something million from Saint Etienne, I'm pretty sure. A young centre-back who's 18 years old, and someone else from Brazil. And apparently they, as I'm recording this, they've just agreed to sign Nicolas Pepe because Napoli can't pay his wages, what he wants for 72 million, which would be quite a lot. But I don't know if he's actually confirmed, but apparently they've agreed to sign him. So yeah, moving on to third. This one's a miracle. Tottenham actually spent some money in the transfer window. They've bought in 2 players, Jack Clarke and Ndombele for around 60 million. Leon, that's it. And Jack Clarke come from Leeds, but he's been loaned back to. And they haven't really got rid of anyone. Nkudu coming back in. That's about it. They've got quite a strong side. Pochettino's a great manager. He's good with them. They've got a really strong side. So I think they're going to finish third next season and get the Champions League football again. Next and second, I've put Liverpool, who haven't really brought anyone in. They're really bringing in this young Dutch centre-back who looks like a Van Dijk kind of player for 1 mil. He's called like Van de Berg, and that's it, because they haven't really got to upgrade. If they win the Champions League, they haven't really got to change their team up, really, have they? Unless they want to go for the Premier League, which is going to challenge City, but I put them in second because I don't think they're going to do it this year. That's about it. And then moving on to City. Obviously, as I said, I think City are going to win the league again this year. I don't think anyone can challenge for it at the minute. Their team's too strong, they've got too much money, richest club in the world, no one can really compete. They signed Rodri this summer and Zach Steffen from Columbus Crew, Rodri from Atletico Madrid, and then they signed someone else, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. It'll be up there anyway. But yeah, basically, no one can challenge in my opinion. They're going to win the Premier League again, but I think they will challenge for the Champions League this year. But if they don't win it this year, I think Pep will go and try and go abroad somewhere. I'd be appreciated if you could like and subscribe, and if you like the video, then tell me down below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.